So the first thing you're going to do is to take your length measurement. That's the length of the trouser you're sewing. So this is the palazzo trouser. We're going to take our palazzo length. So when you finish that, you connect them together, and now we're going to take our lines. So the first line I'm going to take, we already have our waistline, which we are using the top of the fabric. Then we're going to take our hip line, which is after the waistline. We're going to take our crotch line. After the crotch line, you take your knee line. After that, you take your full length, which we just took already. So that's 5 lines all together. So I always use 9 inches for trouser. I always use 9 inches from the waist to the hip, and I take 11 from the waist to the crotch. That is the calculation I use for the lines. And for the knee line, you're going to measure on the person you're sewing for. Whatever you have, sometimes it can be 22, sometimes it can be 23. If the person is very tall, it can be 24. So yeah, that's our 5 lines: the waist, the hip, the crotch, the knee, and the full length. So that's 5. So after getting your 5 lines, connect them together. Next thing I'm going to do is to get the shaping of your trouser. On the waist side, I'll be going in by 1 inch. That's to get the shaping. This will just make the trouser have that trouser shape we used to have. Then on the waistline, you take 1 inch in. Then you skip the hip and the crotch lines, jump to the knee line, you go in by 1.5. Then on the M, that's the full length, you go in by 2 inches. I hope this is explanatory enough. So you're just going down, you're just removing like 0.5 from each lines. On the waist, 0.5. Sorry, on the waist, 1 inch. On the knee, 1.5. On the M, 2 inches. If you're starting from the M, on the M, 2 inches. On the knee, 1.5. On the waist, 0 and 1 inch. So you connect them together. You're connecting them to the hip line. So you connect the M to the knee like this. Then you connect the knee to the hip like this. Then you connect the hip to the waist like this. Yeah, so this is the shaping of the trouser, and I hope you understand. So on your waist, you're going to take your waist measurement. On your waistline, take your waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch allowance. And then on your hip line, you take your hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch allowance. On your crotch line, you take your thigh measurement, which is your lap, divided by 2. Why you're dividing by 2 and not by 4 is because you have 2 thighs and you have just 1 hip, you have just 1 waist. So at this junction, you're going to change your measurement to 2 because you have 2 of the rest of these things that we're measuring. That's why we're measuring the thigh by 2, not by 4. You connect it to your waist measurement like this. From your thigh, you make this curve to your waist. So for the M, which is the palazzo part, the arc I used to use for this is I measure my thigh measurement from the allowance I added to where I'm marking it from, and I have 15.5 inches. So this is just the arc I use to get that palazzo mouth, if I want it to palazzo very well or not. So the next thing I used to do, whatever you get from that line, I used to remove 3 inches if I want it to palazzo very well or if I don't want it to. So I'm going to measure minus 3 inches from 15.5 is 12.5. I'm going to measure my 12.5 from the beginning of the fabric. If you are cutting a normal trouser, you're going to be measuring from these 2 inches that we marked earlier. But for the palazzo, you're going to minus 3 inches from the thigh measurement you have now, plus the allowance of everything together. Then you put your tape from the beginning, not from that 2 inches. I hope you understand. From the beginning, you're going to take whatever you have minus 3. You're going to take it from there. So that is how your palazzo mouth is not going to palazzo too much, or it's going to palazzo too much. But if you want it to palazzo too much, then you can take that 12.5 from that 2 inches allowance. I hope it is explanatory enough. So the same thing you get from, so once you measure that 12.5 I just did, whatever you have from that 2 inches that we measured earlier to the place the chalk is, you take the same thing from the on the knee line too. I hope this is explanatory. Please, if you have any questions, you can just drop them in the comment section and I'm going to reply everybody. Your time measurement -3, you take the same thing. If you want it to palazzo too much, you measure from that 2 inches, which is 12.5 according to this measurement. But if you don't want the palazzo to be too big, you take it from the beginning of the fabric and not from that 2 inches. Yes, so that is all about the palazzo part. So this is the back piece. It is not showing very well because of the fabric I'm using like, the pattern of the fabric is very, very, very dull, so the chalk might not show very well. So I just put the front piece on the back piece. I made the back piece longer than the front piece by like, let's say 4 inches. So I measured 3 inches from my crotch line out. On the cuff side, I measured 2 inches, and then from the waist I made the same exact line with the waist, then just connect it down. As you can see, please can you try your best to look at this thing very well. So it is the same waist, exactly the same waist to the front and back. The crotch cuff, I just measured 2 inches, so we won't have problem when we are sewing. And then on the crotch line I went out by 3. So at the back, the side here, I'm going to be, on the front part we cut out 1 inch on the waist for shaping, but on the back we're not going to cut it out because we're going to use that 1 inch for that. So we're going to leave that one out. On the hip side, we're going to trace the same thing down. On the other side, which is the allowance side of the trouser, I'm measuring 1.5 because it's palazzo. I don't really need any allowance there because it is already big. It's not a fitted trouser. So I'm measuring 1.5 or 1.5 or 1 inch if you want anyone throw out. So now I just cut it out and I hope you can see it well. This is the 3 inches I went out on the crotch. That's the 2 inches on the cuff, and the waist is the same thing. The back I left 1 inch for the darts. The 1 inch I cut out at the front before, and then this side you just trace it exactly the same way. So that is the end of this video.